So here we are about to put a window in our tiny house. And of course there are many ways to put a window in, and we are going to show you the best way we know how to put a window into a tiny house. It's a pretty important step. You want to make sure you do it right. Now we've got our house has been wrapped with house wrap, as you can see, and down here we've got some peel and stick membrane that we put on, and it's just extra protection is what this is. For the RO of these windows, it's pretty important to know the specific size of your window before you do your rough opening. And I find that the perfect number is adding about 3/8 to each side all the way around the window. And what that'll do is it'll make it so that you can, after it's in, put this spray foam all the way around, which is also a very important step in putting in windows. You don't want it too small, that gap, and you don't want it too big. You definitely don't want it so small that the actual window is touching the framing anywhere, because that could potentially lead to crackage in your window. And if you've made this rough opening too big, you might find that this nailing flange is too small and it makes it really difficult to get nails in. So adding about 3/8 all the way around seems to be the ideal number. Now, what the first thing we're going to do is we're just kind of cutting this top bit a couple inches up, and then we'll fold it up, put a staple or a nail up there, and next we're going to use some silicone. I'm using black silicone just so you can see it, and you want to put this really close to that corner all the way around. And I usually start on that peel and stick. You don't want to put it down at the bottom, because if any water does get in there, you want it to be able to escape. Now, these are kind of useful little things. They're quite cheap, and it makes you feel like you're on Mission Impossible or something. It's just a little suction cup to grab the window. We tend to take all the screens off of the windows right when we get them and put them in a safe place. They just end up getting dirty. Now, Simon's going to be inside holding this, and he's going to have a little crowbar. And what he's going to do is make sure that it is centered in this rough opening. And I'll show you what we do after that. So I'll just hand the window to him. So he's just going to center it in that space, and I will quickly just check to see that it's more or less inside the bubble. And once I know that it looks pretty good, I'll double check with him, make sure it's centered. And I use roofing screws to begin with. So I'll just screw one corner, and then I'll double check and make sure nothing moved, adjust things if I need to, check with him to make sure it's still centered, at least enough to put that spray foam straw all the way around. And what we usually do is put 4 screws. We'll put 4 screws in here. And then, if it's a pretty good size opening window, we will make sure that the window opens and closes and locks properly, because sometimes they do need to be adjusted just slightly. So now Simon can let go, and we'll double check that it works properly. And then what we actually do is use roofing nails, and we'll nail this window off, and then we take these screws out. It seems like an extra step, but the reason why it's really nice to have these screws is if you need to make any adjustments, it's a lot easier with the screws than with the nails. And lastly, take this down, cut any extra, and then we'll just put 2 little squares here and here of that peel and stick to make sure we cover this rip. And now you are ready to do trim. So when you're looking for your windows and your exterior door, I highly recommend you try to find ones that have a nailing flange. It'll make it much easier to install them and much easier to make them weather tight. However, I also suggest that you look for as much reused material as you can, not because it makes your job easier, but because it will help make your house uniquely your house. And sometimes when you're looking for windows, you may not be able to find ones with nailing flange. For example, these 2 windows have no nailing flange, and sometimes you'll just find a really cool window that you want to use and it has no nailing flange. So coming up, we will show you how to install windows and doors that don't have a flange, and more importantly, how to make sure that they are weather tight. And we'll show you how to flash them properly. And we're also going to show you guys how to build your own windows, both fixed windows and openers. I suggest if you live in a really cold climate, it's probably a good idea just to find openers that are already made, just because you will not get them to seal as well as they do in the factory. But that being said, a lot of people don't live in cold climates, and so a window such as this is very easy to make, and it'll keep you warm if you live in Southern California. We're also going to show you how to make fixed windows using sealed units, and lots and lots and lots of other useful tips.